So, should you raise or lower your soft palate when you sing? The general idea is you have to raise your soft palate high in order to sing well, especially to sing high notes well. But is it true? The idea of keeping your soft palate raised up high is not always the best idea, and how just by changing and tweaking the position of soft palate just by a little bit, you'll be able to create a much better resonant sound, especially for your high notes. Hey, it's JJ here, and if this is your first time watching my videos, what I do is I help singers like you unlock your high notes fast by showing you how you can access your high complete mixed voice vocal placement. And if that sounds exactly like what you need, then hit the subscribe button below now and let's get started. Let's first understand exactly what the hell is a soft palate. I'm going to show you how my soft palate looks like from this angle. Can you see this? Can you see there's a dangling thing right there that I circled? Have a look again. When the soft palate is raised, it should look a bit like this. Can you see that it is being raised up? Now, my soft palate is being raised up, and if my soft palate is lowered, it will look a bit like this. Now, that's from the front view. Now I'm also going to show you how the soft palate looks like from the side view. So just hold on a minute, let me get my knife and my saw so that I can saw my head into half. Where is it? Let me go and get it. This is the side view of the soft palate. Okay, I want you to notice. Can you see that? Can you see this structure here? So just now what happened is when I raise my soft palate, this structure here that I circled, it lifts up. So instead of being in this position, it gets lifted up to this position. Okay, such that now it's touching the walls of your pharynx, like this. But just now when I lowered, what happened is, it touches the tongue. This whole thing here is the tongue. And when the tongue moves backwards and when your soft palate lowers, they touch each other and they create this open space so that your sound gets into your nose area. Afterwards, when I'm explaining the position, what's the ideal soft palate position, whatever I've just said is going to become very, very useful. So pay attention here. And when my soft palate is being raised, you can see that now what happens is the sound is coming out. The sound can come out through here. Okay, through this line here, which is your mouth actually. And when the soft palate is lowered, yeah, you can't see anything because it has touched the tongue to block away my nasal pharynx, which is this area here, which is right behind the soft palate. So far, does everything make sense? Now, with this idea in mind, let's move on to see what's the ideal soft palate position and why so. So, I still remember that about almost 2 years ago, I was studying with an Italian vocal coach. He emphasized that I have to raise my soft palate, like what we have seen just now, in order to get a more resonant high note. And I do get why he said that, because now when a soft palate is being raised up, it has cleared the pathway so that now your pharynx is taking up more space. There's a larger hollow space in your pharynx, which is also known colloquially as your throat. Now, if that's confusing for you, go ahead and watch my video on how to sing with an open throat after this video, and then things will become much clearer for you. So it seems like the whole general idea in the vocal coaching industry is telling students to raise their soft palate, and I understand why. But today, I also want to offer you an alternative point of view, which is my own point of view and some of the point of view of the scientists who have been studying the idea of the soft palate and how the soft palate position affects the sound that we are producing. I personally believe that the soft palate should not be totally raised up. In fact, it should be lowered just a little bit. Let's first have a listen to this singer. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. For those of you who have been singing for a while now, the more advanced ones, I want you to go ahead and comment down below. Do you think that whatever sound you heard, is it a raised soft palate sound or is it a lowered soft palate sound? Go ahead, comment below before I reveal to you the answer. You done that? Great. Now for the review. The answer is, it is neither completely raised or is it lowered. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. If you notice, the soft palate is somewhere in the middle. It is mostly raised to create an open throat sound. At the same time, it is not completely sealing off the nasal pharynx, and instead it is allowing some air to go through the nose. Why is this singer doing this? Shouldn't we be raising our soft palate completely? And my teacher keep telling me to
raise my soft palate when I'm singing. You have to raise a soft palate. Why can't you sing well? Because you didn't raise a soft palate.
The reason why we don't want to keep our soft palate completely raised, but rather in a position where it is almost completely raised, but yet not touching against the walls of the pharynx, is because of this. When we keep our soft palate at this position, what then happens is it gives our voice more control and more stability. Listen to their voice again. Can you hear that that singer has a lot of control in his voice, even though it is a high note, it is a B flat 4. The reason why he's able to do that has got to do with how he's keeping his soft palate position there. So when you don't actually raise your soft palate completely and you instead allow it to drop just a little bit, you actually have a more stable voice, a more stable high notes, because now your velopharyngeal port is not being completely sealed off. Because over the years, studies have been done on the velopharyngeal opening, and they found that a small opening into the nose, even on non-nasal sounds, meaning on sounds which are not just limited to N, M, Many vocal coaches, they will say that the nose itself is a resonator, but actual scientific studies has shown that the nose is not a resonator. In fact, the nose is an anti-resonator. Well, what does that mean? Put simply, it means that the nose actually absorbs the sounds that actually go into it. Now, it may seem like a bad thing, but it is actually a good thing as well, because it can be a phenomenal stabilizing force as we ascend through our passaggio. Because here's an experiment that they did in one of the studies. They got singers to sing through a really long tube, and they did it with two scenarios. Scenario number 1, when a soft palate is completely raised and they sang through the tube, versus scenario number 2, where the soft palate is being lowered a little bit and allowing some air to go through the nose, allowing some sound to go through the nose. And what the long tube does is that it creates a situation where a vocal tract is being lengthened temporarily. Your vocal tract starts from your vocal cords and it extends up into your nose and your mouth cavity, but now it extends way beyond with the longest tube, because now with a longer vocal tract due to a longer tube, there are actually more areas for resonance of your voice, because the resonance will take place not only in the vocal tract that you have, but in the long tube as well, which actually makes singing into a long tube scary, because now our voice breaks more. Let me show you what they mean, and I'm going to try to recreate the experiment right here for you. So right here, I have a long ass tube, and let's try to blow some air into this tube and see how it goes. So First, scenario number 1, I'm not going to lower my soft palate. I'm going to keep my soft palate raised up and I'm going to just slide through my vocal range. And let's see what happens. Can you hear that? It is very hard to control my voice. My voice was there was so many breaks in between. It is actually scary. I'm going to show you again. You can try if you have a long ass tube at home. It is a scary feeling because your voice just breaks very easily. But now I'm gonna try to recreate scenario number 2, which is a more familiar scenario for myself because I always sing with a slightly lower soft palate. So let me see if when I try that, what will happen. Can you hear it? Let me show you again. Can you hear it now? There is almost no breaks in my voice as I go up and down my vocal range, even though my vocal tract has been temporarily extended when I'm blowing through, or I'm singing through this tube. Now, how am I able to achieve that? It's simple. I allow my soft palate to drop just a little bit. And remember when your voice breaks, and what the experiment just proved is also that the resonance in your vocal tract is going to affect the stability of your chord closure, of your compression. And that brings me to a point to also why the high complete mixed voice vocal placement is so important, because when your placement is wrong, your vocal cords becomes unstable as well and it breaks, it comes apart more easily. But when your placement is high, in the high complete mixed voice vocal placement, now your vocal cords, it becomes easier to bring them together and to compress them. That is why often problem why you can't compress is because you're still stuck in your low placement, but that will be a whole new topic for another video. Let's come back to the focus of this video, and that is, in this experiment, in order to prevent our voice from breaking, the second scenario that I showed you, that I demonstrated just now, what I had to do was to reduce the amount of resonance that I'm experiencing in my vocal tract, which extends all the way to the end of the longest tube. And how do I reduce the amount of resonance so that there isn't too much resonance being fed back onto my vocal cords? How do I do so? I lower my soft palate so that now some air and some sound can go through the nose. And remember, the nose is an anti-resonator. When the sound goes through a nose, it actually absorbs some of the acoustic energy, some of the resonance, and when I have less resonance feeding back onto my vocal cords to cause them to blow apart, you can see that I can slide up and down my entire vocal range without much trouble, unlike the first time where I'm just allowing all the resonance to be formed up in the tube. So this should explain why I said at the beginning that we should not be raising our soft palate completely. And that also proves why when you allow your soft palate to lower just a little bit, you actually get a more stable voice, especially when you ascend into those high notes. So honestly, I hate it when I hear vocal coaches just giving a blanket statement and say, so you have to raise your soft palate, right? The reason why you can't sing high notes is because you didn't raise your soft palate. If you can raise your soft palate, then you can sing high notes. But a lot of the times, they don't realize that raising the soft palate too much is the very reason why the voice breaks on the high notes in the first place. Comment down below if your vocal coach has always been telling you to raise a soft palate. You know who you are and you know exactly what I'm trying to say here. Now, linking everything back to singing in a normal condition without the longest tube. If we know that too much resonance can cause our vocal tract to become unstable because it is too energetic now, especially when our vocal cords are not strong enough yet, we should actually keep the soft palate in more of a neutral position instead of a completely raised position, so that in general, as we sing through our passaggio, it becomes easier and our voice don't crack. Hey, I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if you have not yet, because there are more fucking awesome tutorial videos like this one coming your way soon. I go more in depth into exactly how the velopharyngeal port that I talked about just now is actually linked to your high complete mixed voice vocal placement in my online course, Complete Mixed Voice 1.0. So follow the link in the description box below and find out how. Hey, it's JJ here, and I'll see you in another video.